guys, how you doing? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming here today. And I want to start out by thanking the people of West Virginia for providing me with a resounding victory and a mandate to govern. There's so much good happening in our state, and I'm looking forward to building on past success, but really also taking some additional steps to really help West Virginia rise in those economic rankings. I want to make sure that West Virginia is the best state in the country to live, to work, and play, and I want the metrics to back that up. I'm not satisfied with being 48, 49, and 50. So I think what you're going to see over the course of the next 4 years is an aggressive effort to rise in those rankings. Over the course of the next few months, you're going to begin to see a series of initiatives that we'll be releasing, that we plan to advance and work with the legislature on to help our state reach her potential. In the upcoming weeks and before January 13th, you're going to see a series of announcements with some of the personnel who we intend to bring on board to help us in this incredible journey. Let me say something at the outset, though. I want your help. I want your help. I need your help. We need to make West Virginia the most dynamic place in the world. It's an incredible place, but we have some work to do, some challenges. So the best way to do that is to solicit ideas from all West Virginians. If you voted for me, great, thank you. If you didn't vote for me, let me tell you, we're all on Team West Virginia now. The election is over. It's time to govern, and I want everyone's input across the board. The best way to provide that input is to actually go to the website for westvirginiaprosperitygroup.com. That's wvprosperitygroup.com. At that website, you're going to be able to submit resumes if you're interested in working in the administration, ideas for how state government can work more effective, be more accountable, transform to meet the needs of citizens in this day and age. We're looking for any and all of your ideas. And I think that's a great thing to do. We need to have that process be open so that you can participate. I know that there are so many incredibly talented West Virginians out there. Everyone should be part of this process, and that's how we're really going to move up tremendously. Today, I come to you with some news about the transition. We're announcing that we have 7 co-leads of our transition team. In the near future, we will be announcing a full membership of the transition team. Dozens and dozens of West Virginians will be on that team, and we also know today we have 7 people we'll name as co-leads. This is the beginning of a process. It will continue, and as we meet more good West Virginians and more good people, the process will grow and evolve, and we're going to be incorporating any good idea between now and at the end of my tenure as governor. I'm really excited about the opportunity to serve and accomplish really big things for the state of West Virginia, and grateful to be here. So without further ado, I'm going to announce members of our transition team who are the co-leaders. Once again, there'll be a next announcement that follows with the individual names of the transition team. We're going to start with a gentleman that's probably familiar to many people, the current majority leader of the House of Delegates, a longtime friend of mine, Eric Householder. Eric, thank you for joining us. Eric's from the Eastern Panhandle. He's done a terrific job as the House Finance Chair and a majority leader. I've known him for a very long time, long before I ever ran for Attorney General, so I'm excited to work with you. Then there's another name that's not going to surprise any of you. His name is Doug Buffington. Doug is the current Chief Deputy of the Attorney General's office, and he has been incredible for the citizens of the state. One of the most honorable people I know. He knows state government. He knows how to get things done. I've been very fortunate that Doug has served with distinction in the AG's office. He will also be a co-lead on the transition team, and Doug, I'm grateful for your incredible work.
Thank you.
Then we have an old friend and someone who's done an amazing job in the private sector and in government in the past, from the Eastern Panhandle, Karen Evans. Karen actually is a partner of her own business now, and she's the former first assistant for the Secretary for Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response for the U.S. Department of Energy. She has experience on energy issues, on technology issues, and she also played a really important role at the Homeland Security Department under President Trump. Karen has agreed to be a co-leader of the transition, and I'm deeply grateful for Karen's willingness to step forward. You know, just importantly, all of these are volunteer positions where people are putting in their time and effort, and it really means a lot to me. Then we have Julie Kaminsky, who is the chair of the Raleigh County Republican Executive Committee, a successful businessman from Daniels, West Virginia. And Julie's just really impressed me. She's one of the most organized people I've met and very, very bright. And I'm going to learn a lot from her and everything she's going to bring to bear. So I am thankful for Julie for being willing to join our transition team as a co-leader. Then we have Jim Larita. Many people may know Jim. Jim was a former head of the West Virginia Coal Association and has deep experience on coal and energy issues, and just a wonderful human being. Cares deeply about West Virginia, not only on our energy issues, but foster care and a number of other topics. So Jim, I'm grateful for your engagement and your participation. Then we have someone who's here today who has also been a good friend for a long period of time, Conrad Lucas. Conrad is the former chair of the Republican State Party in West Virginia. He was really one of the key people who helped rebuild the party in West Virginia. I remember when I first got elected in 2012, you know, Conrad was very involved, and he's been putting in so much time to help our state in so many different ways. And so, Conrad, I'm grateful for your service as the state party chair, everything you've done, and thank you for your willingness to serve as a co-lead on the transition. Then we have another individual with an incredible business record who I've just been impressed with. I've known him for many years, but I've really had a chance to get to know him a lot more in the last year, and his name is Jim Martin. And Jim is the president and CEO of CityNet. Many people may know him because he's been kind of this upstart company, but he's done a really good job on so many different levels. And so I've gotten to know him. I've just been very impressed with not only the depth of his knowledge in various areas, but his deep love and passion for the state. Broadband expansion is really important. I'm really enthusiastic that he's going to help on a wide variety of different topics. So those are the 7 co-leads. In addition to that, I'm announcing that we have hired 2 consultants, and those individuals are Marissa Finley, who is here today. She's out of Charleston. Marissa has worked for many different public officials. She's done great work, also one of the most organized people I've met, just outstanding. And also Scott Will, who is my former campaign manager from the 2012 race, and also the former executive director of the Republican Attorneys General Association. Marissa and Scott have agreed to help and consult with us because we do need a lot of help, and I'm grateful for their willingness to step up. Very importantly, we want to make sure that people go to the website and they sign up. wvprosperitygroup.com. I just would urge every West Virginian watching this to know that your voice really matters in state government, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Let us know. If it's a good idea, that's what motivates me. It doesn't have to come from a particular person. So please submit that and let me know. Now, over the course of the next few weeks, we will be meeting with many people within state government and outside of state government. I can report to you that I've had discussions with Governor Justice, who has pledged his complete cooperation to work in the transition process. I thank him for that. I thank him for his service as governor, and I look forward to continuing to work with him as he moves to the role of U.S. Senator. We really want Governor Justice to be a very successful U.S. Senator, and I pledge anything I can do to make that happen, and I'm certainly grateful for the smooth transition that I envision on this end, and that's because of him. So shout out to Governor Justice. Thank you for making this transition go smoothly. I've also talked to other people in the legislature, legislative leadership, and other members of the House and the Senate. We want to develop a common agenda so where the governor, the House, the Senate, all come together and we could move a series of bills that might be agreed to up front. I'm excited to do that. And so I'm looking forward to sitting down at great length with them to develop the agenda. And so therefore today, I know there'll be many good questions that come, and I'm happy to answer a number of them, but there are going to be a lot of issues where I'm going to say, I'm going to sit down with the legislative leadership. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to talk to people before I roll out every single bill. And if you can afford me that opportunity, I would be grateful. We're now 1 week in, and we're making a lot of progress, but I like to do things the right way, and I want to make sure that we execute things correctly. I want a effective, accountable state government that you're all going to be very proud of, and I'm pleased that we have a good group of people here today, and obviously if you have questions afterwards, let me know. In the upcoming weeks, we're going to be tackling a lot of important issues for examination, things that are occurring in state government right now. So there are various landing teams in various subject matters that we're going to be covering. And none of these will surprise you, and it's not meant to say that we're not covering something that's not on the list, but there are big buckets of issues that we're focusing on, such as commerce and economic development, education, revenue tax. That's going to be a very important issue for many reasons. Healthcare. Healthcare is a broad topic, covers an awful lot. Criminal justice and drugs, our National Guard and vets, and I want to salute all of the amazing veterans who served our country. And my dad was a veteran. I don't know how many people know this, and my mom worked as a nurse for Veterans Administration, so I'm really deeply grateful for all the people that have served in our armed forces and what they've done, so thank you for that. Transportation and infrastructure. That's also a critical area that we need to make progress in. Technology and energy. I think that there's an opportunity to really build on our state's energy strength and begin to merge it with technology, open up new opportunities in the information society. I think we're going to see an evolution in our society in the next 4 years, that technology is going to become more and more prominent, and I would argue it might move even faster than the internet in terms of the pace that technology plays an even more important role in our society, whether we're talking about the data centers and crypto and AI and in various types of intelligence. So we want to make sure that we're getting out in front of those issues. And I'm dedicated to digging in and learning as much as I can about that and how West Virginia can reach her energy potential. Then we're going to be spending a lot of time on repurposing and resizing government. I think that we all know that there are always efficiencies that can be brought to bear. Part of the reason I've talked about doing personnel reviews and audits is because I want to make sure that the taxpayers get the benefit of every dollar that's spent. That's their money. It's not our money. We should never forget that, and I will not. And so, yes, there have been various reviews and audits done over the past, but we want to take kind of an extra fresh look at what's going on, and we are. And that's part of what will happen with the landing teams. We're going to have deeper conversation, deeper dives. Various issues change, sometimes over a 3 to 6 month period. We want to have the benefit of fresh, up-to-date information. So I'm excited about that. We're going to have a subject area of maintaining West Virginia values. That's important, whether you're talking about our Second Amendment rights or the importance of protecting kids and helping parents, looking out for the sanctity of life. I think that's really important, and so there'll be different people in that area who are going to be helping us identify areas, different issues that we may want to spearhead there. Obviously, the environment. We want to make sure that we bequeath to our next generation clean air, clean water, and I'm committed to that, and we want to make sure that we have a DEP and an energy and environmental area that is on top of things. I'm excited about that, especially as West Virginia is taking on new energy technologies. We're going to need to make sure that DEP and other entities are on top of that. Obviously, different issues just relating to the administration of the Capitol and all these different programs. And there are important topics. We know PEIA is out there and many, many other big issues. I am not going to go through every single topic today, so no one should read it that something's not important. But I wanted to mention this to you to let you know that we're going to be ready on day one. But I need your help. I'm looking at every West Virginian right now, and I'm asking, please weigh in to the website. This is your opportunity. I want to make sure that we have ideas and representation from every one of the 55 counties. That matters a lot. I made a special point of going to every single county in both our primary and our general election campaigns because I wanted to pay all of the citizens of our state the respect they deserve and not take any vote for granted. The same thing will occur when I serve as your governor. I want to pay respect to everyone. I'm entitled to nothing in my life, nothing. But I am grateful that you've given me the opportunity to serve, and I'm looking forward to rolling my sleeves up, getting to work, and doing great things for the amazing state of West Virginia. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions that you may have.
You said you're talking to the governor's office as the transition goes, and I know that will continue as we go forward. Have they or are they planning to, before the end of the year, to give you a peek under the hood as far as the state budget goes? Because obviously they're going to hand off what they're working on now for fiscal year 2026 to you, and you come in, and then you will have to obviously work that with the legislature. What conversations are you having?
Yeah, I mean, Governor Justice has been very open. He wants to share as much information as he can, and I'm really appreciative of that. I expect full cooperation, and he's been incredibly kind to me in this process, so I expect we're going to have the ability to take a look under the hood. That's part of what the next 2 months is all about on revenue and financial issues. I am fortunate in my transition team to have a number of people who have some expertise in that area beyond Eric Householder. People may not know, but my chief deputy used to work at the revenue department for a number of years. So we have some expertise we're going to bring to bear, but I'm obviously going to continue to rely on some of the information coming from the Justice Administration, and I'm grateful for that.
John Morrisey, talk about, if you would, expand a little bit on working with the legislature on what your agenda is, because you have the additional month, so would it be your hope that the second Wednesday in February you might have a good bit of an agenda agreed to with the legislature?
Well, I certainly am looking forward to working with the legislature and trying to come up with as many agreements as possible in advance. That's the best way to do it, so we can move rapidly. I think that the legislature and the governor have a mandate to govern, and you see that through the election results, and I am really excited about the prospects of sitting down. Obviously, I've had a number of conversations already, but we want to sit down at great length and talk about all these different bills. Can you imagine if we can get the first 20 bills agreed to with the governor, the House, and the Senate? That's the kind of approach that I'd like to do, but that takes some time and sit down, some hard work, because while I come to the table with various sets of experiences, principles, and ideas, I want to get their input. I want to get the public's input on what's going on. And so, but I am hopeful that we can reach agreement on a package of bills very early that we could move when we come back in February.
If you could speak up with your questions, that would be helpful.
Oh, awesome. My first question is for Governor-elect. Is President Trump is saying that he's getting rid of all the Department of Education and giving the power back to the state.
Yeah.
What is West Virginia's plan on that, especially since we've had so many issues with education, what the public schools?
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm actually glad you asked that question because we have been also in touch with the Trump administration, and we want to work closely with them in terms of their transition process. And if there are some different ideas, I want West Virginia to be out in front collaborating with President Trump on as many different issues as possible. I haven't had the benefit of seeing all of their policy initiatives, what they may be able to get done with a House that I think is going to have about 221 Republicans, but I'm looking forward to sitting down with the president and his team at the appropriate point. Obviously, he's been very, very busy and working, but we're going to be engaging. We've always had a good relationship with not only President Trump, but a lot of people on the team. So I think as they start to roll out different ideas, we're going to be engaging because the goal is to put West Virginia in the best position. And I'm eager to put our citizens first, but also I think President Trump loves West Virginia, and there may be a lot of different ideas, education and otherwise, we're going to have the ability to work with them.
And when it comes to changing or potentially changing the size of the state government, what will that process look like? Will that fall kind of primarily on the auditor's office, or who will have that responsibility?
No, that's ultimately going to be legislative and executive. I think what it will do right now, we have to make sure that we're doing our internal reviews, and then obviously we'll be working with the legislature on a package of different issues as we identify ways that we can improve things. So, and I want to take this opportunity to tell all the state workers that there's so many incredible state workers out there. They're doing great things, so people should be patient and see what we have in mind and not jump to any conclusions. I want to make sure we're getting out in front of these issues, but ultimately that's going to be what can we identify out of the governor's office and the various state agencies on day one. There'll be things that we can do right away to save money, but also then it's going to require some changes in the legislature and the budget to make longer-term decisions. And those are conversations that we'll have with the legislature and others.
So we've been transitioning, DHHR into these
Yeah.
departments for years. I think that's a little bit of what you're talking about, looking at what's working, make sure that we know where the money's going. That has not been a smooth transition, I think most would
Yeah.
say. Have you learned any lessons from that, and what would you look to do differently as you're looking at other state departments?
Look, I think that I've said this for a long time. I want to build on the successes of the past. Every person's different. I think there have been a lot of positive accomplishments, and everyone brings their own background and style to the table. So I like to roll my sleeves up and get involved into the details, and I want to make sure that our citizens are getting the value for every dollar that's being spent. It's always been the case for me as AG, and that's going to be the case for me as governor. But I think what we're going to do is, as we are engaging through this process, we're doing the reviews, we're having deeper dives and discussions, then I'm going to try to report back to you at forums like this where you can ask me questions and I'll do my best to try to answer them. And then if I can't answer them, maybe I'll come back the next time and try to do that as well. But I don't want to get ahead of myself because I think there's real value in having a review process to keep learning and identifying issues so that when I say something, you're going to know that's the way it's going to be.
You mentioned earlier wanting to try to kind of work with the legislative
Yeah.
branch to be able to move things along quicker, especially
Sure.
when they hit the ground in February. How are you going to be able to balance that with also the need for the public to be able to see these bills and
Sure.
kind of get an idea of what's going on? And
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you can't control what the legislature does, but they can suspend rules to
Yeah.
mash things through. So how do you balance those?
Sure. I think it's a great question. I'm hopeful that through forums like this and other opportunities that when we're ready for announcements, we're going to try to roll things out and give people the ability to weigh in. That's why I'm asking also people to weigh in now, because it's meant to be a transparent process. I think that's good. And that way you get to ask questions and you get to learn more. As I said, I'll do my best to try to answer them, but I want to make sure that we roll them out. We have the ability for the public to have engagement, to let us know what they think about it. I also want to note I've talked to all the different members of the Board of Public Works, and I think that they all have important roles to play, and I congratulate all of them on their achievements, and I think that we have basically almost an entirely new Board of Public Works in various positions, except Kent Leonhardt, a good friend of mine, but I've had good conversations with them since the primary, and I'm excited to work with all of them on the many issues and challenges facing our state.
Is it your thought, Senator Morrisey, that 2 months, what do you think about the 2-month time period? Because you had less than that when you transitioned into this office.
Yeah.
Do you think that in your
I didn't have much time,
Right,
you know.
In your mind, is that going to go quickly? Is that enough time?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the time you have. Your thoughts on that?
Well, look, you deal with the problems that are in front of you, right? So if you're told that you have 60 days to make the trains run on time, you're going to make the trains run on time in 60 days, and that's certainly the goal. So I'm excited about it. I think we're going to have a really good team. I think you will see from not only the transition co-leads, but members of the transition team that will be announced at the appropriate point in upcoming days or next week, that we're going to have a lot of expertise that we're bringing to bear. So I'm excited. I think that we've always felt really good that we're going to hit the ground running on day one. That's one of the benefits of serving as the state attorney general, is that I'm the chief legal officer for the state and we represent all the state agencies. So while you certainly don't know everything that's going on, you have some ideas about what's running well and what's not running as well, right? So we're going to take some of that expertise as well and apply it in order to try to address some of the difficult challenges in front of us. A lot of great things going on, but also some challenges that we all know about.
This is more of a self-serving question,
Yeah.
but obviously here in the press over the last 7 years, sometimes we haven't had the best relationship with the previous administration in regards to getting information from departments and agencies through Freedom of Information Act requests, or just through simple phone calls.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're having this press conference, so this is a good.
I am here.
What's your philosophy, or the philosophy you plan to have, particularly with your department heads and agencies, when it comes to the press and the public?
Look, I can tell you this. I plan to continue to do public events and press conferences. I've been doing that through my tenure as Attorney General, and I don't think we're very open in that process. I think there'll probably be a lot of different types of communications tools that we use in order to get information out to the public. Quite frankly, technology is evolving at such a rapid rate. It's amazing when you look at how people are consuming information. Significant amounts consume information through Facebook or Twitter, or I guess formerly known as Twitter, X, and some people get it through cable news and radio. So part of our challenge is to reach out to all West Virginians, and we're going to be looking to do that. But I think that what you're seeing today, I try to be open, and I'm going to be accessible. Nothing's changed from the time that I've been Attorney General. That's my goal. There'll be a lot of different formats that may get used. And I will also note this, there'll be issues that may not be right to talk about a particular day that will say, look, maybe we can talk about that tomorrow. Because sometimes, whether as the Attorney General or as the Governor, there are things that you want to research and know before you come out and talk about that, right? I think that's important. Everyone doesn't have an expectation that you're going to know everything at any one given time. What the hope is that you're generally responsive, and that directionally we're moving to the right places, and that people get the opportunity to ask questions and get the answers ultimately that they need.
Given that there's a similarity between the name of the C4 that's serving as a transition organization.
Coincidental.
Coincidental?
Yeah, no, I mean, just it's a name of, we're going to have different people involved, including probably some people from AFP and others, but has nothing to do with just, it's a great name. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, yeah. Another question as well from me as well, back to the States. There's been issues with the roadways, and you said you would like to keep continuing with Governor Justice. What other, what plans are you going to be trying to continue from your predecessor, if possible?
Well, look, I think part of this is going through and identifying all the things that are working and the things that we can strengthen, right? But that's part of the review process. That's why we have a transition team. That's why we're meeting with people. We're going to be doing reviews and deep dives so that we can answer those questions directly. And I want to give people the benefit to be able to provide that information directionally to me, right, and to our team. I think that really makes a big difference. So I want to compliment Governor Justice for being willing to collaborate in this process. And certainly there have been a lot of positive things going on. And obviously there are going to be some areas that we're going to be looking to put our imprint on things. That's what happens anytime there's a change in administration. So I think give us the benefit to be able to go through that process, and then we'll come back and talk at a deeper level on any topic into the future.
You said, you mentioned, I can't remember how you worded it, keeping West Virginia values. That's a term that we hear a lot thrown around in different circles. My West Virginia values different than his, different than yours. What are your West Virginia values, and what do you mean when you say keeping them into the future as governor?
Yeah, I mean, I think, quite frankly, you've heard about this during the campaign. I've always been very worried that there were agendas coming out. It was out of the Biden-Harris administration. You've heard the word woke before. You've heard the word DEI before. And those are not, in my mind, West Virginia values. And we're not going to be an administration that's going to be advancing those values. I think that West Virginians are really wonderful-hearted people. They care a lot about freedom. They want freedom to reign across West Virginia. They care a lot about ensuring that their Second Amendment rights are protected. I think they believe in the sanctity of life, and they want to protect kids and their parents. So that's an area where I want to get input from everyone. Remember, everyone's going to get to participate, but I make no bones about it. I'm conservatively oriented, but I like to be open-minded to different ideas and listen to people to try to come up with the right decisions. But I've tried to spend a little bit of time developing a worldview over a long period of time. And I think what you'll see is there's going to be strict adherence to our Constitution. There's going to be an effort to constantly advance freedom and to have a very vibrant, innovative private sector. I think that's important. That's going to be critical to help West Virginia's standard of living grow. At the end of the day, if you're number one in terms of the number of state workers or the number of taxpayer dollars that's spent on state, in terms of that, we have to get to a place where our private sector is going to be lifting up, because our workforce participation levels are still too low. We have to change that. I'm committed to doing that. And so I want to give everyone the hope and opportunity to succeed. And that's probably the most important value, that all work has dignity, and that we're going to try to get as many people working as possible, and we're going to get people who respect freedom, our Constitution, limited government principles, and that's how we're going to try to run things.
Does that include gay and trans West Virginians?
Look,
too?
every person is invited to submit information to our website. I think I said at the outset, whether you voted for me or you didn't vote for me, we want everyone to weigh in. And I want to read all of it, too. I tend to be a little bit of a, kind of a policy nerd, so, but I want to read everything that people have, the ideas that they have. So, look, we have specific values, and I don't hide what they are, right? So I will say that. And if I disagree, I think we could disagree respectfully, and we can do so in a civil manner. That's the approach I try to use, and I've always tried that, and I think people are going to have a chance to see that.
And for folks that might not be like really politically savvy, that might
Yeah.
just hear the headline and say, "Hey, Morrisey announces a transition team."
Yeah.
Are we supposed to interpret that as these are folks that are also going to be working within your administration, or is
You should interpret all of the things for what they say they are. So these are co-leaders of transition. They're good people, and you're probably not going to be surprised if there might be some migration from different people on the transition team. But no announcement is done until it's done.
Okay.
And so today we're focusing on the co-leaders of transition. We'll follow that up with members of the transition, and there'll obviously be at some point a series of announcements of people who will serve in the administration, whether it be the governor's office or various cabinet officials and state agencies. So I wouldn't read too much into it, other than these are a group of really talented, smart people who I've had the opportunity to get to know pretty well, who I respect. And I think you need to always have a good group of people around you, whether you're talking about inside the administration or outside, and I'm going to do that. Ma'am? And can you say your name first? That way.
Keelan Bailey, West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Yeah, thanks.
You mentioned a mandate to govern. A lot of West Virginians didn't vote in the election. What's your message for civic engagement going forward? And this has been sort of
Yeah.
the problem with the state.
Look, I encourage as many people as possible to vote. I don't know, anyone who follows me on X knows that I went out and I was campaigning till the last hour, asked people at the Chick-fil-A in Martinsburg what I was doing right before the polls closed. I want to get as many people out to the polls as possible. That is the critical nature of our system. I know that after the primary, when turnout was not high in certain areas, I went out, I doubled down, I go visit those areas, and I try to encourage people to write about the race, to talk about the race, to get involved in the race. And sometimes that may be just through public appearances, right? Berkeley County had very low turnout in the primary. To give an example, 17%. I was really disappointed about that. So I made a little bit of extra effort, not only in Berkeley, but across the state. We're going to every single county to try, what can we do to lift the turnout up a little bit? I think this is a sacred issue. We live in a constitutional republic, and people have the ability to go out and vote, and I want to encourage everyone to do that. An informed electorate is a better electorate from my perspective, and that means learning about the issues and ultimately taking steps to participate in the process. So I'm going to keep being a big cheerleader for having higher and higher turnouts, and look for different ways to make that happen. Are there any other questions that you have? Let me make a couple administrative announcements as well. January 13th is Inauguration Day. Between now and January 13th, there'll probably be a series of announcements Some will be live like this. Some we may send a press release out just to educate folks about what's going on. But I anticipate we'll be doing several of these events where you have the ability to come and talk to us and let us know what's on your mind. And we will be making some announcements also. We have a separate structure. I want to emphasize that we have a transition structure. Then there'll also be an inaugural structure. Shortly we'll announce that. There has been an inaugural committee that's been set up, and we want to make sure that we get that out to the people as well, because when we do get that out, we want to invite West Virginians to come celebrate. There's a lot for West Virginia to celebrate. We are one of the most amazing states in the nation. I always say we're within 10 hours of 180 million people. We are one of the most giving people that you'll ever find. And I want everyone to celebrate in the inauguration. I want people to know that when the 250th anniversary of America comes, we're going to have a big party. I'm going to be looking at that as to how to make sure we're going to have a really big celebration. That's going to be incredible. I was actually really encouraged when I saw President Trump talk about that he's going to look to have a celebration across America, because we have to celebrate our amazing system of government. And I want to celebrate here in West Virginia and let people know that West Virginia is going to be one of the true leaders nationally in so many areas. And I think we're an incredibly patriotic state. And I really am looking forward to working with everyone to help West Virginia reach its potential. So January 13th, inauguration. There'll be announcements coming up on transition. There'll be announcements on inauguration. And then obviously in upcoming weeks, there'll be announcement of personnel. I'll be honest, I know the President